You don't feel jealous because you love, and the insecurity that eats away at you isn't the other person's fault. That's the part nobody told you. What hurts most in a relationship isn't what they do. It's what you feel when they don't do it. When they don't respond on time. When you talk to someone and your heart races. When you realize that deep down, you're constantly afraid of being dumped. And this exhausts you. Worse, the more you love, the more you seem to lose emotional control. Sound familiar? Maybe it's because you're trying to control the relationship from the outside, so you don't have to face the lack of self-love that screams inside. And yes, there is a solution, but not the way you've always tried. What nobody taught you is that controlling jealousy starts in a place that has nothing to do with the other person, and everything to do with you. She feels jealous, but doesn't always understand where it comes from. Sometimes she thinks she's being taken care of. Other times, she blames the other person. But deep down, there's a hidden pain there, that of not feeling good enough. Jealousy stems from an emotional hole, a mixture of insecurity, comparison, and fear of abandonment. And it's easy to mistake this hole for love, because it squeezes right where the heart beats the strongest. But love doesn't really hurt like that. Think of a woman who finds herself looking at her partner's likes, stalking followers, creating scenarios in her own head. She doesn't want to do that. But something inside her screams that she's going to be dumped. This kind of relationship anxiety is rooted in a fragile self-esteem, which was wounded back in the day and never healed properly. What she feels isn't just jealousy. It's fear disguised as protection. It's anxious attachment trying to predict the next pain. To get out of it, the first step is to name what you feel with courage. I'm afraid I'm not enough. Then start an exercise in self-knowledge. What in this relationship triggers you so much? Where is your oldest pain? And most importantly, what are you forgetting to see in yourself? Because jealousy only turns to ice when it starts to strengthen what's hidden beneath the surface. There are women who grow up thinking that they always have to be nice, correct, calm, beautiful, and perfect in order to deserve love. This doesn't come out of nowhere. Usually she learned it from someone who only validated her when she pleased them. It may have been a critical father, a demanding mother, or any other figure who made her feel that affection is something you earn, not something you get for being who you are. Emotional insecurity then becomes a companion. In love relationships, this appears silently but intensely. The woman begins to feel a constant fear of being dumped, has anxiety every time the other person distances themselves, and thinks they need to prove themselves all the time. She may keep quiet to avoid conflict, exaggerate her care, or even annul herself to maintain the relationship. Love becomes a minefield where any mistake can be enough to lose everything. For her to change, she needs to reprogram this idea that love depends on performance. A good exercise is to ask yourself, if I don't have to please anyone, who am I? Or, what parts of me do I hide for fear of not being accepted? Only when she begins to love herself, including her flaws, can she trust that she can truly be loved. And then, the fear begins to lose its strength. At first glance, it seems as if she wants to know where her partner is, who they're talking to, why they took so long to answer. But deep down, what she really wants is to avoid the pain. To avoid feeling that sense of abandonment, rejection, and comparison again. It's as if controlling the other person is a way of anesthetizing their own emotional insecurity. But the effect is only temporary and tiring. This control shows up in everyday attitudes. Checking his cell phone, getting angry at any likes on social networks, despairing when he goes out with friends. The root of all this isn't real mistrust. It's anxious attachment trying to protect itself. And that's when the woman gets into a cycle. The more she tries to control, the more she loses control of her own peace. It's like fighting a pain using the wrong weapon. The The turning point begins when she realizes that what needs to be accepted is not the other person's behavior, but her own inner emptiness. A powerful exercise is to replace the question, "What is he doing?" with, "What am I feeling right now?" and allow yourself to feel. Self-knowledge is the path that transforms control into awareness. And this opens up space for something she may never have experienced, emotional security without surveillance. She thinks the problem lies with other women, the prettier, thinner, nicer ones. But the real problem is in the mirror. Jealousy in the relationship is actually just a reflection of the internal comparison she makes every day without realizing it. When self-esteem is damaged, any detail becomes a threat. Because everything becomes confirmation that she's not good enough. It starts subtly. If he smiles at someone, she already imagines that there's something wrong with her. If he's slow to respond, the automatic thought is, he must be talking to someone else. But you see, this isn't about him. This is about how much she has devalued herself. The comparison is just the symptom. The wound goes back much further, to when she learned that she needed to compete in order to be seen. Want real change? Start by strengthening your self-worth. A simple practice. Write down 3 things you admire about yourself every day. It may seem silly, but over time, your brain begins to shift focus, from lack to presence, from fear of being dumped to confidence in who you are. And when that happens, even love begins to breathe more lightly. She learned to love like someone who watches, in constant fear of being deceived, changed, left. But love that survives on the basis of control isn't love. It's anxiety. It's a desperate attempt to fill a hole that only self-knowledge and self-love can reach. Because when she feels safe inside herself, she stops demanding that the other person prove all the time that they won't leave. Imagine loving without suffocating, without having to check the other person's cell phone, without getting lost in bouts of jealousy every time someone smiles at you. This is possible, but it requires an internal movement. Emotional healing isn't about finding someone who never fails, but about becoming someone who knows they'll be fine, even if they fail. And that completely transforms any loving relationship. Want to start now? A good practice is to create moments, alone, that nurture your self-esteem. Dancing to your favorite music, going to therapy, going out for coffee without needing company. Little by little, jealousy gives way to trust. Emotional dependence gives way to autonomy. And the security she used to look for in someone else's eyes starts to shine within her. Now tell me, how long are you going to keep trying to control someone to hide the emptiness you feel inside? Isn't it time you took care of the wounds that still make you doubt your worth? Because as long as you don't accept yourself, you'll live asking for proof of love, suffocating what could be light. What if, starting today, you decided to rebuild your self-esteem and stop comparing yourself all the time? What would it be like to live in a relationship without jealousy, without emotional insecurity, without the weight of anxiety sabotaging you? It's possible, but it depends on you taking the first step. If this content has touched you in any way, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's lots more to come to help you free yourself from emotional dependency and finally experience love with peace and presence.